Good morning. Thank you, Senator Collins, Ranking Member Casey, and members of the Senate Aging Committee. It is a privilege and an honor to be here to testify today. My name is Paul Grant. I'm a father of 4 children: Oliver, 18 years old; Jordan, 16; Solomon, 13; and Levi, 11. We live in a small community of Gray, New Gloucester, Maine, and I would describe us as an active family. We play a lot of sports: basketball, baseball, soccer, football, lacrosse, softball. We are usually on a field or in a gymnasium most days, and my children mean the world to me, and I love coaching them and watching them play. At the end of January in 2014, my son Solomon became very ill. For at least a week, he laid on the couch with flu-like symptoms. He was very lethargic, had stomach pain, grayish pale color, noticeably thinner, and he had glossed over eyes. His mother had taken him to the doctors, but we were told that he had the flu and it would just run its course. We treated him with ibuprofen and Tylenol and made sure he drank lots of fluids, but Saul's condition did not improve. In fact, it appeared to only get worse. I was coaching youth basketball the day I got a call from Solomon's mother, and she was sad and upset. Saul was still very ill, and she decided that she would take him to the ER at St. Mary's Hospital in Lewiston, Maine. My other 3 kids and I left basketball. We met her at the ER, and when I arrived, Saul was in a gurney, hooked up to an IV, surrounded by nurses, and the on-call doctor eventually came in and looked at us and said, your son has type 1 diabetes. His blood sugar that day was over 800. This was more than 4 years ago now. But I can remember this day like it was yesterday. You can imagine the feelings his mother and I experienced when we heard the words, "Your son has type 1 diabetes." Our son has a disease. We experienced feelings of sadness, confusion, fear, astonishment, bewilderment, just to name a few. And the 3 of us spent that weekend in the ICU, and our lives were forever changed. Today Saul is 13 years old and a 7th grade student at Gray, New Gloucester Middle School. At his school, there are several students that share that same disease of diabetes, and the school system does really a pretty good job at helping these students manage their disease. Besides going to the nurse's office several times a day to check his blood sugar, carrying around a diabetes bag, things are pretty normal for my 13-year-old boy. He has a good group of friends, he has great teachers, and he loves playing basketball. And as long as he has insulin and checks his blood sugar regularly, he manages it pretty well. So I work for a small general contracting company called Wally J. Staples Builders, Incorporated in Brunswick, Maine. And we build new homes, additions, and garages, and we complete many interior and exterior renovations, and anything to do with construction. My job is I'm a project estimator. I absolutely love my job, and I've had the opportunity to work on thousands of construction projects over the years. Unfortunately, like many small businesses, my employer does not provide health insurance, so I purchase it for myself and my children through the marketplace, which is very expensive and very complicated. I pay a high deductible to keep my monthly premium lower, so consequently I end up paying a lot out of pocket for necessary supplies for Solomon, approximately $2,500 last year just on insulin supplies and diabetic supplies, and I will have spent close to $15,000 for health care for 2017. Solomon needs 2 types of insulin, Humalog and Lantus, and in 2017 I would typically pay $300 for a 90-day supply of Humalog through Express Scripts and $150 for a 90-day supply of Lantus. This seemed like a lot until this past January when I called to refill Solomon's Humalog prescription, and it was going to be $900 for a 90-day supply, nearly $1,000 for medicine that Solomon absolutely needs to be alive, and about 3 times more than what I had been paying. So I kind of went into panic mode as I was low on Humalog, and I needed to get it as soon as possible. Tried to get answers from my insurance company, and it was difficult, hard to get any help with that. I don't think they understand our health plan. I know I don't. I ended up purchasing a 30-day supply at Walmart to get me by until I could figure things out, and that 30-day supply cost me $322, and that included a coupon, but I had no choice. I had to have insulin for my son. No father ever wants to see what would happen if you ran out of insulin for your child with type 1. I remember Saul State in the week that he was first diagnosed and when his body first stopped producing insulin on its own, and I know I have to do whatever to make sure he has insulin. I purchased it on a credit card. I borrowed insulin from friends. So when I saw that the price had hiked to nearly $1,000 for a 90-day supply, I knew it was something I couldn't afford. And I spent several hours and days reaching out to friends in the diabetic community looking for an affordable option. Ultimately, I found a pharmacy in Canada where I could purchase a 90-day supply of Humalog for $294, and that included the $50 shipping fee. And this is with no contribution from my insurance company. That was January 22nd, and I just refilled that prescription the beginning of April with the same pharmacy in Canada. Last week I checked with Express Scripts to see how much a 90-day prescription would be for Solomon's Humalog, and it would cost me $1,489, and that's with my insurance. As I mentioned, I help people build houses for a living. I'm good at my job. I can tell you very accurately how much it would cost to build a new home or put an addition on your home, but I can't tell you how much it's going to cost from month to month to buy insulin, which I need to keep my son healthy. So I just don't understand why insulin for children with type 1 diabetes is so expensive and why I can purchase it in Canada for so much less. We were just talking about the cost of insulin today, but there are many other things like insulin pumps and glucose monitors out there that would make children's lives and parents' lives so much easier if they were more affordable. Thank you again for the opportunity to appear before you today to share our story, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grant, for sharing your experience.